All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast. Taping this on a Friday morning. Howard Beck, the cat guy, Howard Beck, and the dog man, Chase Thomas, on this edition of the podcast. Howard, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, your listeners missed a riveting discussion comparing and contrasting dog ownership versus cat ownership, which maybe we should just make that a separate paid version or something. Bonus content for your most loyal listeners or something, because it was good stuff.
Absolutely. What's the strangest animal you've seen in New York? I imagine there's a lot of people that have strange pets in New York. What's the strangest one you've seen?
Strangest? That's a good question. I think there's been rumors of people who own pet ferrets and stuff, which I think is illegal, but I haven't actually seen one though. So no, I don't know, man. We got a lot of rats around here, a lot of pigeons around here, which are just flying rats. But those aren't pets. That's just the stuff we deal with by living in New York.
Well, how about this? What's the strangest thing you've seen on the streets of New York as of late?
Oh man, you want a list? I'm gonna leave out all the various ways in which I've seen people relieve themselves on the streets of New York, because that's just gross. And now
you got to go, man.
I've already alluded to it, so I've already violated the whole decorum. I saw it. So Flatbush is this massive avenue, right? Of, I don't know, 8 lanes of just crazy traffic. And I once saw a guy riding his unicycle down Flatbush, and I thought, well, that's a very Brooklyn thing. The guy's riding his unicycle down Flatbush, probably while on his cell phone. There's a guy, I can't remember his name. Somebody wrote about him within the last 6 or 7 months. There's a guy who you'll just see zipping around on a unicycle. I don't know what is with unicycles in Brooklyn. But who just balances a ball on his head, and he's moving around, and he's like, the ball never moves. I don't know how that works, but it's really impressive. Often he's like, I don't know, singing or belting stuff out too while he's doing this, just kind of cruising around, Prospect Park or cruising around the streets. Occasionally, the street, one of the streets, the main drag that's nearest to me, there'll just be a massive convoy of people on motorcycles, 3-wheelers, whatever, and it's loud as hell, but it's just they're just cruising to wherever they go, and the people on the 3-wheelers are doing a wheelie so that they're back on their back wheels, and it just looks like they're going to fall backwards and crush themselves the whole time, but they're just flying down the street. I don't know, man. Like, any given day, you just don't know what you're going to walk out and see.
Yeah. Have you ever? I feel like you've never driven a motorcycle. You don't strike me as a motorcycle guy.
I have been on some motorcycles. I cannot say I have piloted a motorcycle.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't have guessed that. I haven't either. It's just not a lot of journalists. Do we know any journalists? Like some capital J? Like, is Zach Lowe out here in Brooklyn on a motorcycle?
Saw Zach last night at Barclays Center, but I believe he took an Uber. No, I cannot imagine
that you Zach know of. Motorcycle. Can you confirm?
Yes, I saw him leave the arena, so I saw him get in the car. I would dude, just the image of Zach on a motorcycle, that's just a lot of fun right there. I would put that in the 10 things that I like and don't like. Under things that I like is the idea of Zach on a motorcycle while writing 10 things he likes and doesn't like.
There you go. How do we just bring in the Lakers into this conversation?
Well, I mean, we kind of half segued into NBA just by invoking Zach's name, and that's probably true. On his latest likes and don't likes, there's probably a Laker ad in there somewhere if I looked hard enough.
Do people shout at Zach? Or you?
Oh, wait, no. The first paragraph of his, I have it up on my screen. The first paragraph is, it's time for his first 10 things, and mercifully a Los Angeles Lakers free edition. So there we go. He's already ruled out. You and I have to talk about the Lakers because Zach won't. There we go.
Oh, yeah. People just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. But
look, I get it. I've been at this a long time, and I also spent 7 years covering the Lakers in the Shaq and Kobe era. People get very tired of the Lakers very quickly if they're not Laker fans. And I'm guessing that even the Laker fans, and maybe especially the Laker fans, are probably really, really tired of having to discuss what a freaking disaster their team is right now. But yeah, the rest of the country kind of gets sick of we in the media, quote unquote, shoving the Lakers down their throat. But it's like, I always say on issues like this, when it comes to NBA coverage, whether you think there was too much LeBron coverage, too much Lakers, too much Knicks, too much whatever for the rest of the country, like, we do live in an age where everything can be quantified and is. And editors and producers and other people wouldn't keep asking for more analysis of the Lakers and LeBron and whatever else is bothering folks, if you all weren't also clicking on it and listening to it. So it's a love-hate thing that NBA fandom has with some of these figures, because they say, we don't want to hear anymore. We don't want to listen. We don't want to read. We don't want to click, but you keep coming back. And so it's this awful loop we're all stuck in.
On the floor, though, on the floor with the Lakers, what would you say? How would you best? What would be your best summation as to what's plaguing the team on the floor?
I mean, where to begin? I think what's plaguing them most is simply the obvious lack of sound roster construction, and that falls into a bunch of different categories. But it's just not a well put together roster, and I think everybody has known that for some time, except for maybe the Lakers themselves, who I feel like have been living in a state of perpetual denial for the last at least 12 months or more, maybe whatever, 15 months, going all the way back to the Westbrook trade that every single person in the league that I talked to at the time of the trade thought was a terrible idea for the Lakers, except for the Lakers. So you start there, but this is not to say it's all because of one deal, but that deal had a lot to do with it. And it's not just because of who they got, it's also because of who they lost, right? That cost them Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and it cost them Kyle Kuzma. It cost them guys who could play both ways, and especially guys who were, good long defenders and who could make open threes. And in some indirect way, it arguably cost them Alex Caruso, because they decided they couldn't afford the tax bill that would come with re-signing Alex Caruso. Like, they just, from that moment forward, even actually, if you want to go back to 2020 when they won the championship, everything they've done since that championship moving forward has been just one thing after another that has unraveled them. And they found there's a formula that works around LeBron. Even this late stage of LeBron is still playing at an all NBA level, right? Like, he doesn't play full seasons anymore, and we'll see if he plays a full season this year or close to it. And by full season, we don't mean literally 82, just 70 plus games. You get this late in your career, you get hurt more often, and they take longer to come back from. But if LeBron plays 70 plus games, the last couple of years, we can see he's still playing at an all NBA level, and maybe he's going to take some plays off defensively and all that stuff. Fine. He's putting up all NBA numbers. He's putting up MVP type numbers. And LeBron, a productive LeBron plus shooting and perimeter defenders has always been a pretty sound formula for winning at a very high level. The Lakers have chosen to ignore that repeatedly. And so this is where they are. I don't think it's easily fixable. I'm not sure if it's fixable at all this season.
What do you think of LeBron's latest Instagram post?
I probably have missed it. What have I missed?
Hold on, the quote. What did he? I want to get it correct. What he actually said, but it was one of those. He posted another cryptic Instagram statement. He said,
"He's good at that."
How long will you be taken for granted?
That's it.
Yes. ...
Is there an image with this? It's Instagram.
It's a video, I think. The
Breaking
Lakers
news
video
for me.
Where'd it go? Let's see. But it's one of those passive aggressive where it's like, oh, why is his Instagram not coming up? Did he pull his Instagram? That's weird.
Yeah, I see a LeBron James Family Foundation. I'm not seeing. Wow, that's weird.
I think it went away because Dave McMenamin, he had this. So basically, he said it was a picture of LeBron dunking originally, and it said, "How long will you be taking it for granted?" ... Cloud emoji, king emoji, keep going, kid.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the post is gone. I think he took the post down.
That's interesting also. This is all this morning, I suppose.
Yeah, because that's wild.
I wonder if that was even supposed to be referring to himself, because it has to be, right? It's a photo of himself.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Dave McMenamin's post now. How long will you be taken for granted? It's weird because listen, LeBron at his most honest would obviously have to admit that nobody takes LeBron for granted in general. I wonder if he feels like it's the being taken for granted in this moment. Like, if I were going to superimpose my own analysis on this, could it be that it's the Lakers are the ones taking him for granted by having built a crap roster around him though fairly, somebody's going to immediately start screaming, but LeBron wanted Westbrook. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Yes, LeBron and Anthony Davis certainly bear some responsibility for the state of the roster too, but front office is the front office, and ownership is ownership, and they're the ones who make the final call on these things. And uh, you have to realize that the trade for Westbrook was a bad idea, and you have to decide to tell your star no sometimes. And I know there's always the threat of him leaving and all that stuff. Stand for something. You have to stand for something, and you have to stand for what you believe is best for the franchise and what's best on the court, and even what's best for LeBron, because we've seen this. LeBron's not the only one. Often the best players are terrible as de facto GMs or in even talent evaluation, right? Like I've heard year after year, I've heard guys, prop up, oh, this guy's going to be the next big thing. And players are terrible at this. And so, being a great player doesn't necessarily bestow on you great scouting abilities or great roster management abilities. So you have to tell your star no, and you have to deal with the consequences. They should have said no on the Westbrook thing. I don't care how badly LeBron or Anthony Davis supposedly pushed for it. Your job is to do what's best for the franchise and also for LeBron, even if he doesn't see it. And what was best for LeBron at that moment would be to say, no, we're going to make this smaller trade for Buddy Hield because we need elite shooting around you. Or no, we're going to do the DeMar DeRozan deal, or whatever it may have been. Anything but the decisions that they actually made.
Yeah, and I think that was one of those too where it's easy hindsight being 2020 in certain deals, but that's one of those I think collectively we were all at the time like, no, 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 don't do this. This was not one of those, let's see what happens. This might be fun, like the big three. This should be fun. I don't recall anyone really being all in on the Westbrook deal. I don't remember anyone being like, what a home run to give up the remaining depth that you had on this roster to acquire Russell Westbrook. Like, it was not one of those things. And it's funny that like you said, LeBron and Anthony Davis bear some blame for the current state of affairs, but it's also like LeBron is the best GM of the Lakers the last 10 years, maybe the last 12.
Also fair.
And I just, if you remove LeBron from the last few years, I mean, it's just so easy to forget what the Lakers were and what they were at the end of the Kobe era, what they were with Brandon Ingram and company, and how the rebuild was going. Shout out to Phil Jackson, how it was going. And
I forgot about that.
LeBron chose to fix the Lakers basically by himself, and got him a title. And I think it's just bad. I think it's just an organization that's going, like, you be careful what you wish for in the post LeBron era if you're Los Angeles, and if you're a Laker fan, like, let's just trade LeBron, trade Anthony Davis. I'm like, you want, Rob Pelinka and this ownership group to do another full teardown? Do you remember what it was like before LeBron? And are you sure that that's how you want to do the teardown? It's the same with Hornets fans. It's like, oh, we want to tank. I'm like, do you? Are you sure you want to go down that road right now? Do you trust the direction of this franchise to do that all over again? I don't know. I think it's a pretty scary time, and if I'm a Laker fan, I just think we have to have this new idea where the Lakers are drifting more and more toward the Knicks. And I think that has to be readjusted for NBA fans and Laker fans, that's kind of where they're going.
Wow. I did not see that coming, Chase. I'm a little knocked sideways. I got to process that concept.
Is that fair though? I don't think that's a hot take. Yeah.
No, it's not. Listen, I mean, I think that's why you knocked me sideways, because I can't dismiss it out of hand. And look, for the listeners who are not aware, so I spent my first 7 years of my NBA beat writing career covering the Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers from 1997 to 2004. So I know that franchise pretty well. I left LA in 2004 to come to New York to cover the Knicks for the New York Times, and I spent close to 9 seasons covering the Knicks, and I've also been in New York ever since. So they're in my backyard. So these are the two franchises I probably know best from up close experience. And if you had made any analogy 10 years ago, certainly 15 years ago, from what the Lakers are and what the Knicks are, I would have, said, you're crazy, you don't understand the NBA or something. I don't know. I would have scoffed as hard as anybody could scoff. the way things have gone for the Lakers, it's interesting. Like, I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but everybody can go look this up. I mean, if you go from Kobe's last championship with the Lakers in 2010, they go to 3 straight finals. They, lose in '08. They win in 2009 and 2010. And then they have their meltdown in 2011, and then things start to tail off, and then Kobe starts to erode, and then they give him a huge kind of, golden parachute kind of deal, and it kind of hamstrings them for a few years. But okay, but it's a lot of, who cares? It's still the final Kobe years with the Lakers, and those are still going to be great because Kobe is Kobe. But if you look at the gap, or just the time span from 2011 through 2022, the last 11 years or so, the one championship that LeBron and Anthony Davis win in 2020 is the clear high point, but everything else surrounding it, both before and after, is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Even most of LeBron's period of time there has been pretty ugly. And, there's a lot of things that go into that, including a once in a generation pandemic. There's a lot that goes into that, including just some bad luck along the way. Things happen. But that's not the way we judge these things. When we're judging the Knicks, or we're judging the old sad sack version of the Clippers, or the sad sack version of the Wizards / Bullets, or any of the franchises that have gone through really long, awful periods, we're not giving you passes for, this guy was a really great prospect, but he got hurt. No, sorry, the results are the results. That's the deal in sports. And so we can all give context and nuance and caveats, but the bottom line is the Lakers have not been a very well-run franchise for the last decade or so. I hate to say that, because there's a lot of people there I've known a long time and including Jeannie Buss, but I just don't think that they have made a lot of great decisions. And I don't think it's comparing them to the Knicks is the baseline unfairness of that is only that, well, the Lakers have a championship within the last 2 years, and the Knicks don't have one since, the early 70s. The Lakers have more championships than anybody since 1980. We always talk about them and the Celtics' 17 titles and all this stuff, but the vast majority of the Celtics titles were won very, very long ago. In the modern era, if you want to go from 80 forward, it's the Lakers by far. So that gives them, that's not to give them a pass, and it's not to say that past success indicates future success, and it's not to give them too much buffer, but they have earned more benefit of the doubt because of a more recent history of success at a very high level.
If LeBron wanted to live in New York and do the movie stuff in New York the last couple of years versus LA, I think we look at this completely different in this current state of affairs. I also
there's a reason he didn't choose the Knicks, though. Like, LeBron's had multiple chances to choose the Knicks. There's a reason that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, for better or worse, chose the Nets over the Knicks. I'm not sure which way that goes right now, but the bottom line is you want those kinds of players, the best players, to want to choose you. So the results in Brooklyn notwithstanding for the moment, it was a statement about how they viewed the Nets versus how they viewed the Knicks. When Paul George and Kawhi Leonard go to the Clippers, it was a statement about how the Clippers are now viewed. Like, those things do matter on some level.
What would you do with Anthony Davis at this point? Let's say that the playoffs are just out of reach.
Yeah.
He's just not. I think it's pretty clear, right? At this point, he's just never going to be bubble Anthony Davis ever again. Like, it's probably the ship sailed with his age and injuries. Like, it's probably over.
I asked a couple of scouts from other teams recently a question along these lines, which was, all right, let's say the Pacers deal is still on the table for Westbrook plus the 2 future picks for Hield and Turner. And nobody's saying that's going to make the Lakers a contender, but it makes them relevant again. It makes them a lot better. It makes them at least a viable playoff team, which is better than where they are right now, which is not a playoff team at all. It's one step forward, and it's a way to not completely waste this season of LeBron's career during a period of time when you don't know how much longer he's got at this level. I said, but what if we didn't stop there? What if the Lakers decided to trade Anthony Davis because he's their, like, Westbrook's a net negative asset, right? You have to attach the picks to get anything of value in return. Anthony Davis is still a positive asset, but how much of a positive asset? And in both of these rival scouts, who have both been in this league for a long time and have worked in front offices and everything else, They basically said that Anthony Davis is not going to get you another star in return, even in a 1-for-1. Like you're not trading Anthony Davis for, say, Bradley Beal. That deal's not happening.
Really?
Yeah. According to these two, maybe other people
Hmm.
may disagree, but they basically said that like, the Anthony Davis that we once thought of as a potential top 5 player, a potential MVP, a guy you can build your team around, a guy who will one day take the baton from LeBron even and be the guy that they function around while LeBron starts to take more of a secondary role as playmaker or whatever as he gets older. Da, 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 da. Those were the conversations we were having a few years ago.
Hmm.
People aren't viewing Anthony Davis that way because of his injury history, because of his either inability or unwillingness to play through injuries. Um, just how much he seems to have fallen off, and so these guys are saying that if you traded Anthony Davis, if you put him on the market right now, what you would get back is maybe a collection of decent role players and maybe some picks. So role players and picks. Like you could get a good package for him,
Hmm.
but you're not getting another All-Star in return. You're certainly not getting multiple stars. You're not getting the kind of package that you once would have gotten for him when he was perceived as a potential top 5 player.
Do you think that he
Um,
would give up Bam for him?
I don't think so. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know. I hadn't thought of that until you just said it, so I'm giving you my just gut response. I'm gonna say no.
That would be interesting for both sides. I mean, the Heat not off to a great start. 2-4. He's always Pat Riley always looking for stars. Jimmy and AD. That'd be
Not sure how
interesting.
Jimmy and AD would go. Jimmy may not like
Yeah.
given what we know about Jimmy and given what we know about Anthony Davis, that's probably a bad pairing.
I my this is with the Lakers, something that I've thought for a while, Howard, and you could probably speak more to this than me, is that I think LeBron is too smart to have seen this going any other way for a while now. I think LeBron's known that this is over. And I said, I think it was Ben Golliver a few months back, where I said, I think LeBron has known he's already played his last meaningful basketball game. Like, I think he already knows that that ship sailed, and there's so much in LeBron just being a good family guy and so focused on playing with Bronny, and that being his, like, he's not chasing rings. He's chasing an opportunity to stay in this league and play with his son for a year or 2 years, whenever, and chase the scoring record. And you're already seeing how he's scoring and how he's playing this year. I think LeBron has always known. He's looked around the roster. Like, LeBron knows. Like, opening night, he's like, "What do you see? What I'm passing to? We're not gonna win. Like, the shooting's not there." LeBron knows.
He
LeBron
knows.
understands all of this, and I think I think he's content. He just strikes me as a superstar that is content. That's the reason he's brought up the ownership stuff, that he's going to want to get the Vegas ownership group. He wants to play with his son. He's doing the movies. He's moving on to the next phase. I think LeBron is kind of at peace. That's why I don't see him forcing a trade or bouncing around these last couple of years. I think it's kind of wild that maybe a lot of fans aren't ready for this, but I think LeBron knows he is not going to play in another meaningful basketball game, playoff game, ever again. I think that ship sailed. I think he knows. Is that too hot of a take for you, Howard?
No, I mean, I think there's something to it. And I think even within the last few years, like, look, we already know he's the only guy to have taken not just one championships with 3 different teams, taken 3 different teams to the
Mm-hmm.
title, right? That's something that makes him distinct among, all the all-time greats. Um, he restored some luster to the Lakers when they had really kind of lost it for
Mm-hmm.
a long stretch there. He got to win a championship in a Laker uniform, which just, I mean, look, it's the Lakers. They I would say are the most iconic NBA franchise and one of the most iconic sports franchises on the globe. And so he's got 4 rings. All right, no, it's not Kobe's 5 and it's not Michael's 6. It's not Bill Russell's 11. Not that anybody's ever touching that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he has a distinct and incredible resume that has already established him for all time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I like he doesn't have to worry about that. It's been some time. I would have made the argument even after 3 rings, the 2 with Miami and the 1 with Cleveland, and also again, Cleveland bringing the first championship to the city of Cleveland in a half century, and the Cavaliers' first championship. Like these are all things that give him a distinct profile that that help establish him as one of the all-time greats, along with obviously just the gaudy stats. The scoring title will add another layer to it, especially since he came into the league as a guy who was viewed as, a hybrid, and he's a playmaker, and he's all these other things. He was compared a lot to Magic Johnson at the time. For him to go get the scoring title that nobody thought anybody was going to pass Kareem anytime soon, if ever. These are all things that he can, if he sits back for a minute, says, "Am I satisfied?" He could be that. Do I think that LeBron would actually like to grab another couple of championships? Of course. Like, I don't like you use the word content, and I don't know if content is the word I would necessarily use. I think there's a version of it. I think that he knows that if his career ended tomorrow, he's done everything he needed to do. He's won multiple championships,
exactly.
multiple MVPs, finals MVPs. All right, let's say
he knows he's one of the two he's going to be just argued about between
Yeah.
Jordan and LeBron for the rest of his life. Like, he just knows that.
Yes, there's a two-man argument, and he's one of the two people in it. And if older generations of fans want to say, well, it's a bigger argument than that, you got to throw in Kareem and Bill Russell. But fine, whatever the discussion is, LeBron's in it. No matter what generation you're coming from, and no matter what who you are a partisan for.
No one's going to change their opinion on LeBron if he gets a ring with the Bucks at 40.
No, and if he somehow revived the Lakers and won 2 more with them, and got to 6, the people who think he can't touch Jordan aren't going to change their minds, and the people who are already pro LeBron aren't going to change. Like, nothing is going to change. So yes, to that extent, he could be content. I don't think he is, because I think he's still an intense competitor who, listen, if we're going to read anything into that apparently now deleted Instagram tweet, if anybody's taking him for granted, it may be the idea that he's still playing at an incredibly high level, and he doesn't have the guys around him to help him win more championships, and they are in fact wasting his final seasons as an elite player. That is by definition kind of taking him for granted, and to me, that's about the Lakers, not about all of us out in punditry world.
For sure. True or false? Russell Westbrook is on an NBA roster to start next year. Howard.
So my crossover podcast co-host and colleague at Sports Illustrated, Chris Mannix, was the first one I heard say this out loud last season, which was, if they traded Westbrook today and he got bought out, Mannix said, I don't think anybody's picking him up. And it's the kind of thing, when you say it out loud, sounds kind of hot takey, and even more so then, less so with every passing month, every passing game. I'm not convinced that anybody's signing him, even for the minimum, because, and that's not to say that Westbrook can't still do some things on the court at a very high level. It's just that, like an Allen Iverson toward the end of his career, like some other guys who haven't aged well, but who have always been used to having the entire offense, the entire team revolve around them. It's really hard. Yes, you still have some skills and athleticism that should help contribute to winning, that should be useful on a court. But if you can only do it one way, your way, then teams don't see any reason to sign you, right? So with Westbrook, the first thing you do is you look at all 30 teams, cross off the teams that he's already been with. I don't think any of them are bringing him back. Cross off the teams that already have an established, really good young point guard, or even a veteran point guard. Teams are just established at the position. Russ is not playing off the ball. We're seeing that in real time now. He does not play off the ball well. The offense has to be in his hands for him to be effective. Cross off any team that wants to make him a backup, because we know he doesn't want to be a backup. Cross off teams that are rebuilding because they're going young and don't need Westbrook, consuming all those possessions. What's left? Like, it's not about whether or not he can help a team. You cannot, if fans think like, people saying that Westbrook wouldn't have a team if he were waived tomorrow and that no one would sign him, you're just hating on Westbrook. No, it's not about that. You have to look at this through the most practical lens, the most pragmatic view, which is, what team would want to sign him because it makes sense? Who does he make sense for? And if you go through the 30 teams right now, Chase, you tell me if there's a single team that, if Westbrook were a free agent tomorrow morning, that it would make sense for them to sign him. Not, is he still good? Not, can he do this? Can he do that? Not, are we disrespecting? Just, is there a team that he actually makes sense on? I can't find one.
Probably the Mavericks, if anybody. Is like the only one. It's like if you really wanted to just like where it's kind of like the Trae Young thing where they've tried to find the right here in Atlanta, like they've tried to find the Trae Young backup, and this year it's Aaron Holiday. I think they kind of figured it out finally last year with Dylan Wright, and then of course he's gone. Aaron Holiday, he's okay, he's fine, but Trey just being the kind of usage player that he is, like you want to find a lead guard or a six man, kind of like the Jordan Poole, right? Where who can you can bring in your third guard, instant offense. I think those guards are easier to stick in the third guard spot. And I don't know the way Dallas plays, I could see them just like for 12 minutes of no Luka, just hey Russ, just keep doing what Luka was doing with the high usage and just. I mean, Luka last night, what his usage was 80% for the Mavericks, where that offense just everything lives and dies with Luka. Would Jason Kidd be okay with Westbrook doing that for 12 minutes a night instead of, I mean, it just insert player here with Jalen Brunson gone? I think that's like the only one that came to mind that makes sense.
I mean, Luka's got the ball in his hands a ton and has an even higher usage rate possibly than Westbrook did at his peak. So
Yeah.
I don't see it there. He's not going to be a backup. He doesn't play off the ball. Like the
Maybe he just
one.
has to sit though. Like it's what the Melo thing where he has to go away where he needs to not be on a roster for a while. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, look, Carmelo did not want to be a backup. Carmelo did not want to
mhm,
be a role player. Carmelo could not conceive of himself that way. Didn't like anybody else talking about him that way. But once he was almost out of the league for good and realized, oh, I guess I got to do this differently. I gotta adapt. I gotta accept a lesser role to still be an NBA player. Then he did, and
mhm,
to his credit. But that took a serious reckoning with himself to come to that conclusion and accept it. I don't know that Westbrook's ever going to get there. I don't think he will. And besides that, Melo could shoot and Westbrook cannot. It's easier to be a role player when you can at least be a floor spacer and hit open threes, especially in today's NBA. And that's not Westbrook at all.
mhm.
Um, the only when I try to come up with this, if I'm straining to come up with and really want to say, okay, I'm gonna find a place for Westbrook. For me, it's more like maybe it's the Hornets, who have nothing to lose, and I don't think are going anywhere this season anyway. Um, and might just be looking to just get some butts in seats or something, right? Like I always when I at the end of the day, I start to look for the butts and seats teams. Once upon a time, that might have been the Magic, but now they've got Banchero and some other young players. So I'm not sure if the Magic qualify, and you again, you wouldn't want Westbrook cutting into the young guys' possessions and development. Like if all else fails, you look for the team that just needs to give the fan base something to be excited about in the short term while you're figuring out your next steps or whatever. But there aren't that many teams in that position right now. Even some of the bad teams are already solid at the position, and you wouldn't want Westbrook taking possessions away again. And it's because of the way that Westbrook, it's because of the fact that he's always been a high usage point guard specifically, that you can't just slot him in somewhere and have him, play a complementary role. It's really hard to do. Like I say, I keep looking over, y- you know, the Spurs. He's not going to the Spurs. Like they're not signing
Mm.
him. Like I keep looking for teams that just, what the heck? Let's take a flyer and sell some tickets and have some excitement. There's just, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. If he were cut tomorrow, I'm not sure he plays again.
Of the three who have had some early success here in the NBA season out west, the Blazers, the Pelicans, and the Jazz, who of those three would you be least surprised is still in the top four come March, Howard?
The three teams were the Blazers, Pelicans, and Jazz.
Mm-hmm. Who
That's
would you be
definitely the Pelicans.
Okay.
The Pelicans have the highest upside of those three for sure. The Jazz will eventually finish as a bottom 4 or 5 team, as we all expected. They'll in fact they'll probably be a bottom 3 team. Now, the Jazz need to be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. There's nothing else to play for. I know some people are either whether they're putting a lot of stock into their start or just putting a lot of stock in the idea that look, they've got all these good, no great players, but many good players and some veterans. They're not going to let this go. Like they're going to eventually find a new home for, some of these players. They're going to ship guys out. I don't know where they'll all go, but the Jazz have nothing to gain by being a good team this season. You don't ship out Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and decide to hit the reset button just so that you can then accidentally scrap your way into the play in and ruin your lottery chances at a time when there's, a Victor Wembanyama on the board.
So no Lauri Markkanen is the new Larry Bird for you.
Yes, but somewhere else. By all means, if you want to make Larry Markkanen Larry Bird 2022, fine. But just it's not happening in Utah, is all I'm saying.
I think they have to move multiple dudes though. Like that was the thing
Yeah.
about Utah coming into the year is people who were penciling them in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. It's like teams that have that many competent older role players don't lose. That's not a team that's going to be in the bottom 2-3
They'll
zone.
wear down.
Yep.
They'll wear down. They'll get hurt. Mike
Yeah.
Conley will get hurt. You know, I'm not wishing that on him, obviously. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, you know, odds are at that age with that mileage. But yeah, they'll trade guys. Now, the funny thing is, I was having this discussion with a scout about a week ago where I was saying, they'll just, you know, they'll trade Markkanen and they'll trade Conley. And he says, where are they trading Conley? And I started trying to come up with Conley trades and I couldn't find one. Again, a lot of teams are just pretty well set at the position already. Conley could help, but at this stage of his career, you know, you're not getting, you know, Memphis Mike Conley.
Maybe he's a buyout guy.
Maybe and maybe somebody else gets hurt somewhere else, and they say, oh, you know what, we could really use a Mike Conley to stabilize us for our playoff run. So there'll be something. The Jazz will eventually be where we expected them to be through one means or another. The Trailblazers, I love what I've seen so far. Unfortunately, you know, Lillard's now hurt already and is out for a couple of weeks, but I think that they have shown that this kind of rebuild on the fly that they've done that we were all a little skeptical about might have some actual legs to it. And they've looked really good. And when healthy, they're going to be in the mix, at least for play-in. I don't know if they're a top 6 team, but they should be in the play-in and maybe grab the 7th or 8th seed through the play-in. The Pelicans are the team I have the most faith in just because of the profile. They became a playoff team without Zion. That trade for CJ McCollum from the Blazers was a phenomenal move by the Pelicans. They have weathered some early injuries and still won games without Zion playing, without Ingram playing because he's got a concussion, without Herb Jones missed a game or so. Like, they just are really solid. They're deep. They're young. I think, you know, they've got a plausible big 3, right? Like, I know McCollum has not been an all-star, but he's got all-star caliber talent, and had he not been playing with Dame all those years, might have made an all-star team or two. We know Zion is you know, all NBA caliber, and we know that Ingram is an all-star. So, and they've got good role players. Like, I think the Pelicans are legit. I think they're potentially a top 6 team outright.
Pelicans, the CJ, Herb, Ingram, Zion, Jonas Valanciunas lineup, that 5-man unit is the best in the NBA this season at plus 30 and 30 minutes.
Small sample size theater.
There you go. Do you know who's actually the worst? I'll give you a hint. You saw them last night, Howard.
The Brooklyn Nets?
Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Royce O'Neal, Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton, minus 35 and 49 minutes.
Yeah, that's not surprising. The Nets
worst in the NBA though. Worst 5-man lineup in the NBA to this point. Who's playing?
Yeah, no, that part of it is surprising. Like the numbers aren't surprising. But sorry, I've got an eyelash or something going on here. The Nets aren't. The Nets having a bad net rating or plus minus for their starting 5 is not surprising. That is the worst in the league. Even by what we've seen so far, it's still
well, you've seen it in person. What's wrong? Like, you're in the building last night for the Mavs Nets. Like, what are you seeing? How much of it is Ben Simmons? How much of it is just Kevin Durant and Kyrie are having to do literally everything? What are you seeing?
There was a moment last night. I want to pull this up so I can remember the exact right names. There was a moment last night I looked out, and Yuta Watanabe, Edmund Sumner, and who was the third person? Like 3 guys that I did not expect to be serious rotation players for the Nets were all out there at the same time in the second quarter of a kind of important early season game against the Mavericks. It was stunning, and I turned to John Schumann from NBA.com, who was sitting next to me, and I'm like, "Am I crazy? Like, what is?" This is a bad sign, right? This is not just me. Oh, David Duke Jr. was the other one. So David Duke Jr., Yuta Watanabe, and Edmund Sumner were all out there together in the second quarter of this game against the Mavericks. David Duke Jr. played 21 minutes last night. Sumner played 15, and Watanabe played 22. I mean, folks. Now, Seth Curry and Joe Harris are really important players to this team. Two of the best shooters in the NBA. Two guys that you absolutely want next to a Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons core. And they're not playing right now. That's a problem. And if they are playing, then some of those, end of bench guys that I mentioned aren't in the rotation. But still, it just shows there's a serious lack of depth on this roster. And they have, as we know, no interior presence at all. Like Nick Claxton does some really nice things as a center, some shot blocking occasionally, some rebounding, some diving to the basket. But like Nick Claxton's not the guy you're going to use to like deter Joel Embiid or Zion Williamson, who just went to the rim over and over and over again on opening night in Brooklyn. They just don't have enough interior presence. And offensively, like you said it, and I think it's true, Kyrie and Kevin Durant have to do everything. And those guys played, and that was an overtime game, but Durant played 41 minutes last night and Kyrie played 42. Royce O'Neal played 41. I mean, they just don't have the depth right now. And scoring wise, they don't have much outside of Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Ben Simmons is supposed to be a shot creator, and he had 4 assists in 37 minutes last night. Ben Simmons is not fitting in well at all. Like, I'm not sure where to begin with Ben Simmons, because there's so many different ways to try to figure out what is missing with Ben Simmons and what's wrong and why. Is it context? Is it health? Is it his mental approach to the game? Is it comfort? Is it all of these things combined? Which probably yes. But, again, plausible big three, right? Kevin Durant, a former MVP, Kyrie Irving, an all-NBA caliber talent. Ben Simmons has been all-NBA within the last few years. Sometimes they're not as, sometimes all the talent is not better than the sum of its parts. And this is a case where, at least early on, and it is still early, and this is, Simmons' first season with them, but it's not looking real promising.
Do you think Simmons is on this roster past the trade deadline?
Yeah, because I don't think, again, to the point, I'd run this by some rival scouts as well recently, and front office folks. I said, if they wanted to trade Ben Simmons or Kyrie Irving right now, what's the market? And they said the market's actually better for Kyrie because he's on an expiring deal. Like, you can take a flyer on Kyrie. Plus Kyrie, Kyrie's going to put numbers up. Kyrie, for all of his, let's just say, eccentricities, is a really productive and really talented player who makes an impact on the court immediately. And you'd get him on a 1-year deal. You could re-sign him or not re-sign him. Whereas Ben Simmons has multiple years left and right now looks like a shell of himself. I don't think you can make a bet. Like, it's a fair question based on the failures so far of the Nets to say, well, is Ben Simmons going to be here past the trade deadline? The problem is I just don't know that there's a market for Ben Simmons right now.
We'll end on this, Howard. Your hottest week 1 NBA take is what?
Oh, I'm not a hot takes person, so I strained to come up with this when you mentioned in an email that you might ask me this.
Are you a hot coffee person or cold coffee person?
Oh, hot coffee for sure.
Yeah,
And
okay,
a lot of it. And no sugar, no cream, by the way, just black.
Yes, same here.
But so my hottest take is probably my coffee. So I didn't really actually come up with a hot take, but I did. There were several bullet points I just kind of jotted down of things that I'm reevaluating after a week of the NBA, right? Things that have forced me to kind of take a step back. One is, and somebody tweeted this earlier, it might have been Tommy Beer, like, are the Knicks the best team in New York? Like, I mean, literally in the standings they are right now. But the Knicks may be the better than the sum of their parts team, whereas the Nets are the worse than the sum of their parts team. So like the Nets have all the marquee talent, but the Knicks might actually have the better team.
Which is funny because in an instant, like if you pose it to the Knicks front office, like, okay, you can have Kyrie and Kevin Durant now if you want them, they would immediately blow this entire thing up and just trade for them.
A couple years ago they might have. Right now, I think they might actually tell you, you know what, we're good.
Do you think so?
Only because Durant is at the stage of his career where I think you start to worry about longevity and about look, Durant's been amazing when he's been on the court the last couple of years. It's the same thing as I was mentioning with LeBron earlier. MVP level when he plays. But he's playing 60 games a season. And So, and you don't know, I mean, the Achilles is still a thing. Like he had Achilles surgery within the not so distant past, and it's not that guys can't come back and play at a high level after an Achilles. It's more that you'll get hurt more often. Your longevity is decreased. It eventually has an impact. So I don't know. I mean, look, that's a fun question to play with too. I don't know whether the Knicks would do that swap. I do think that the Knicks have what looks like a better than the sum of their parts team, where there's not a single guy who might make the All Star team this year, but the pieces seem to fit and they're playing well together. And look, it's really early, and the Knicks have had a very soft schedule, but Jalen Brunson's looked incredible for them. And Randall looks like he's got his head in a better place now after having a really strange season last year. And the Nets, like I don't have any faith in where the Nets are heading from here. And again, it's early, and so I'm one who's going to be the first one to say let's not make snap judgments after a week of games. But I think there's troubling signs, legit troubling signs for the Nets that go beyond just how they've played in a week of games.
Can you imagine poor Sean Marks just as we're recording this, just texting over and over again to RC, just like Jakob Pertl, look, we get it, you love him, but like we need him more than you guys. Like you're going for Victor, we just need Jakob. Can you please?
Come on, RC, we're boys, man. We go way
yeah,
back.
just give me Jakob Pertl, please. Like, and they're like, we'll give you a Zach Collins. And you're like, I don't need more guys that are going to play 12 games for me every year. No, give me Jakob.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see. This is a really interesting question to think about for the Nets, right? How deep into the season are you still working under the assumption that you're keeping this all together despite everything that happened in the offseason and despite what we've seen on the court so far? And so therefore are trying to make more all-in win now moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they traded for Royce O'Neal at a time that people thought that the Nets were still going to implode.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't trade for Royce O'Neal if you're trading away Kevin Durant. So are they still all in? Are they still trying to just make this work come hell or high water, in which case your Jakob Pertl premise is valid?
Mm-hmm.
Or, at what point do they pivot to, this ain't going anywhere. We're a disaster. We got to try to find a way to blow it up. I mean, at what point? Because the thing is, the real question isn't is Ben Simmons still on the roster come trade deadline, or Kyrie Irving? Is Kevin Durant. Like that's where this is all eventually headed. If things don't turn around, at some point you have to decide or come to the conclusion that we to our credit as an organization, we managed to not come apart at the seams during the offseason. We got Kevin Durant to come back into the fold. Kyrie comes back into the fold. Steve Nash is still here. Sean Marks is still there. But that just kind of papered it over. And if you're winning, it's fine. You can paper over a lot of things if you're winning. People's bad feelings about each other, it doesn't matter. If you're winning, everything's fine. So a 15-5 start to the Nets season makes everything seem fine. A 5-15 start to the Nets season makes the whole summer look like, a brush fire that's now, getting, 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing at it. So I think the real question is, do they get bad enough that they have to think about blowing it up and once again seeing whether there are good deals out there for Kevin Durant?
Lakers are definitely cheering for this demise. Like, oh yeah, keep losing. Like the Kyrie, being able to revisit the Kyrie stuff at the deadline.
Kyrie for Westbrook plus the two picks. Listen, if the Nets are going, like, if I'm the Nets, I have no desire to trade for Westbrook, and I have no desire to.
Well, if you bring in Westbrook, you don't play him, right? Like he's
right.
Like you just trade for him. You just
Westbrook,
want the picks.
Durant. Like we're not having some big happy, fuzzy reunion with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. I don't think that's happening. You're doing it for the picks, but if you're doing it for the picks, then you've decided that you can't win anymore. And if you decided you can't win anymore, then you should be trading Kevin Durant also. And maybe that is the case. Maybe what we're talking about in mid-February is Kyrie Irving is now a Laker. Westbrook has been traded and bought out. The Nets are happy owners of the Lakers' future picks. And Kevin Durant is a Celtic.
Phoenix? Oh, the Celtic. I don't know. Who are you giving up in the Celtics?
Maybe it's not. Yeah, listen. And the thing is, the way the Celtics are winning, like it makes you really hesitant. Even if it's like, well, Kevin Durant's still an upgrade over Jaylen Brown, but if they're playing this way, and Jaylen Brown is however many years younger, so no, maybe Durant is a Raptor. Maybe Durant is a Sun. I don't know.
Raptors would be the most fun.
Raptors would be. I mean, it'd be great, but I mean, they're not giving up Scotty Barnes still. I don't know, but the Nets will get to a point potentially where they're more desperate and have to accept maybe a lesser package than what they were willing to do in July and August. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant for Kenny Atkinson.
Kenny Kenny got screwed.
I mean, that's how you do it. You're like, all right, we were wrong. Bring you back. Like,
I think Kenny's got a very happy life in the Bay Area working for the Warriors, though. So much so that he, agreed to it and then backed out of a deal to be the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets just to stay as a top assistant with the Warriors, which I think was a very good move.
a very good move for him. But also, I'm curious to see if like a lot of people wonder like, oh, what are some of the biggest wonders of the world? And that can be all kinds of things. For me, one of the biggest wonders of the world is can Steve Clifford, who loves nothing more than dragging any kind of Eastern Conference team to an 8 seed, no matter what the context of the roster. I want to see if even with this group, can he do it? Can he make the playoffs? Which he is just built to go down with one big win with TJ Augustine at point guard, get that one playoff win, and then say, "Hey, the
Is
playoff streak's alive." That man loves nothing
is
more than getting the most out of nothing. And
is that on his like LinkedIn profile or his Indeed.com resume? Hi, I'm Steve
yes,
Clifford. I get crappy teams to the 8th seed where we lose in 4 or 5 games,
yes,
but I can revive your team too on a very temporary basis and make you just good enough to miss the lottery.
he's the all-time great interim coach. It's like if you want to make the playoffs, or you're just like, I need the guy to raise our ceiling, but not too much. It's
Yeah.
him. Steve
Yeah.
Clifford. He's great at it. It's
Yeah.
his gift.
Yeah.
Howard, what can the good folks check out from you over at si.com this week?
Appreciate it. Most recently had a in-depth profile of James Weissman of the Warriors, which posted last week, but is still up on si.com. Check that out. Of course, my recent profile of Zion Williamson, which was our cover story for the NBA preview issue. Crossover podcast, couple episodes this week. Chris Mannix and I breaking down a bunch of stuff earlier in the week, and then the episode that posted today, Friday, my interview with Danny Green of the Memphis Grizzlies, talking about a whole lot of things, including his analysis of Ben Simmons as a former teammate. I should also plug, by the way, we talked a lot about the Lakers at the top. Book The Greatest Show on Earth, which is a collaboration between SI and Triumph Books, is out soon. You can go to triumphbooks.com and find it there. If you go to triumphbooks.com and search for Greatest Show on Earth, the Laker book, and type in the promo code Lakers30, you can get a 30% discount on the book. But it's a compilation of 15 stories about the Lakers from Sports Illustrated over the last 50, 60 years. So there's profiles of Elgin Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq, LeBron. I wrote the foreword for it, which is why I am plugging. I would plug it anyway. It's a great book, but I got the honor of writing the foreword, so that was pretty freaking cool. And that is out soon. Great coffee table book, great Christmas gift. Go check that out.
Don't take it to the bathroom. You won't be able to return it.
Dude, yeah, I mean, not advisable, kind of not cool, also kind of gross
Yeah.
for other people in the household, or at the bookstore if you were trying to return it. It's a coffee table book. It should be on the coffee table anyway,
Yeah.
not on the back of the toilet.
Where's your favorite place to read?
Oh, I got a couch right here behind me in my little home office. So there's that. We have a tiny. We're in Brooklyn. We have this tiny little balcony on the back of our condo second floor here. But it's just big enough that on a nice day you can kind of kick your feet up out there and enjoy the sun and the sounds of Brooklyn. Cars honking and people yelling at each other. It's
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah.
Defecation everywhere. It's a beautiful time.
Let's not get crazy. Not in my neighborhood, Chase.
We'll end on this, Howard. Tennessee, Kentucky this weekend. Who do you got? You're a big college football guy that I know.
I'm not in the least a college football guy. It is among the. I've actually. People are often shocked and disappointed to hear this when I tell them I don't watch any other sports anymore. Like none.
Really?
NBA and that's it.
Nothing else.
Nothing. Zero. Yeah.
So
like literally zero. I couldn't tell you what's happening in any other sport. I couldn't tell you 3 coaches in the NFL right now.
we need to SI corporate. I need y'all to pivot and throw Howard on the NFL beat the rest of the year, the college football beat, and I want to see how it goes.
Just to be utterly confused. I was a huge NFL fan growing up. It's the reason I got into sports writing, and I have not watched the NFL on a regular basis in about 15 years.
Interesting.
At
I feel like a
least,
lot of
maybe
folks do that,
longer.
right? Like, as you get older, you just kinda if you're on a beat and you're on a beat for so
Your fan
long, you
Yeah, for most of us, the fandom dies,
Mm,
because it's just it's a job. It's a great job, but it's a job. So you're no longer invested emotionally. So there's that part of it. A lot of my peers in this business, um, still consume a lot of sports, still
mhm,
watch the other sports, and there's sometimes some of them are still even fans, not of NBA teams, but they might still be a Yankee fan or a Steelers fan or whatever. Right? They'll root in other sports that just not in the NBA. Um, for me, it was just more like the NBA consumes so much of my time and
yeah,
my just, mental energy that I just don't feel like I have time for anything else other than my family and whatever else I want to do, music and streaming TV and whatever. Like I want to watch, House of the Dragon when I've got spare time, not
mhm,
NFL games, right? Like I just at a certain point it was reprioritizing. Like I watch a massive amount of hours of NBA games every season, every year. When I'm not watching the NBA, I don't want to watch any other sports. I just want to
hmm.
watch something that's not sports. I want to do something else. I want to spend time with my wife and daughter. I want to go for a walk. I want to do anything other than sitting in front of my TV watching more sports. I don't care enough anymore.
So you're all in on Love Is Blind season 3.
I have not
Cole
watched that
sucks,
one.
right?
The best shows I've seen recently, or the best ones I've binged recently, Reservation Dogs gets my highest recommendation. That's
Okay.
on that's on Hulu.
Mhm.
Only Murders in the Building, a great
It's
New York
fantastic.
show.
Love that show.
Yeah, and there's some funny New York stuff in there. Um, so that's fantastic too. Um, Recently binged both seasons of Industry.
I haven't
Um,
watched that.
that was something.
Mhm.
Enjoyed that. Um, but yeah, can't wait for Succession to come back. So yeah,
Yes.
those are the things I want to do when I'm not watching NBA basketball, rather than you know, trying to figure out what's going on in, I don't know, professional pickleball.
Hey, it's growing. It seems like every big time athlete's
It
buying
is. I
some
feel
sort
like
of
I actually have to get informed on pickleball now just because of NBA players investing in it, but I still haven't.
The only thing I know about pickleball is older people tear their Achilles playing pickleball more than any other sport because
That
you're running back and forth really hard, and
Mm.
it's a sneaky dangerous sport for the
for
older crowd,
for
and I'm in
people of
that
my
crowd.
age, yes, I will not be taking a pickleball then. I don't need to be tearing my Achilles.
No, because you're moving quick and it sneaks up on you. You think it's this
Yeah,
easy going sport, but that's how you pop an Achilles is the quick change of direction like that,
yeah.
and
All
it's
right. I've
just
been I've been forewarned. I will not be taking a pickleball.
There you go. Howard Beck, thank you so much for the time. This has been a blast. I greatly appreciate it. Go subscribe to si.com and get the book, Triumph Books, if you have not already pre-order all that good stuff. And Howard, we'll have to talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chase. This was fun.